Hey guys! I knew it was going to do that. Did you jump? I did too. Anyway, I knew I should have kept hold of it the whole time. Anyway, hey guys! It's Tidy Tom Logan back with another video for you. Slightly dramatic beginning. But anyway, Battlefield 4 has been out a little while now, but it was a massively anticipated game, and it was something that a lot of people were speculating about certain things. We were going to need massive core CPUs, that it was going to love fast memory, the AMD cards were just going to annihilate it. But obviously we've not quite got Mantle yet, so we probably will cover this again. But we've brought a selection of reference cards together. They may not look like it, but I'll explain. We've got the reference GTX 780 Ti at the end, then the which is a 3GB card, then a reference GTX 780 3GB card, reference GTX 770 2GB card, and then we've got a reference 290X 4GB card, reference 290 4GB card. This is obviously the this is a power colour variant, but it is a reference card. So it's just got a power colour sticker on it, but it was what I got from AMD. Then we've got an Asus DirectCU 280X, but we need to kind of remember that they never released a reference 280X because it was essentially just a rebadged 7970. So they never really bothered doing that. But this was the card that AMD sent me directly. That's also a 3GB card. And then at the end, we've got the 270X, which I do believe on this model is a 2GB card. So we've got a range of cards here, which we're all going to put through Battlefield 4. Now we've tried to play the same section because it is live gameplay, it's not a benchmark, but we tried to play the same section for each of these cards, and you'll get the swimming portion first, and then it will break into a second bit where it's on the boat and you know, you're trying to blow the boat up and stuff. But what we've done is to stress them out a little bit more. I know everyone's going on about 4K, but let's face it, the majority of us can't afford it. Consider we run ours at 2560 by 1440, and considering that stresses cards out enough, and the monitors are still relatively accessible, we went for that. I know a lot of people are now going, what about 1080? But you can kind of get the gist with the 2560 by 1440 results. Just kind of add a little bit on the top. The order is exactly the same, but we did this because, to be fair, as I'll explain in the conclusion, the fact that this card is still in this lineup and we're doing 2560 by 1440 should say a lot. So what I'm going to do now is we'll move on to that, but also what we'll do now is I'll magically make something appear. Right, so the bench rig is the classic Asus Rampage 4 Extreme. Then we've got 3960X at 4.6 GHz. We had 32GB of 2400 MHz memory in there. Yes, that is excessive, but the reason for that being is it's Corsair Dominator Pro, and they're 8GB sticks. We had 4 in the Rampage, so that's 32, but obviously you don't need that much. H100i. We had a Corsair Neutron GTX 240GB solid state drive that this was all run off of an AX1200i. H100i for cooling, and obviously the Asus PB278Q monitor running at 2560 by 1440. But I'm going to shush now and we can move on to the actual gameplay. Right then peeps, so first of all I've got a couple of apologies to make. I rendered this section of the video first and it does say up there 270, it's actually the 270X. Also it does say that the average is 44, the average is actually 31.7, so it's 21 minimum, 31.7 average, and then 44 maximum. All the rest should be correct. We live in hope. Anyway, we started off with the baby one, and then what we're going to do is work our way up. But there are two sections of gameplay that we want to look at. We've got this first swimming bit, and we'll do the swimming bit for all of the cards in order. And then we'll move on to the ship part, which you'll see in a little bit. So you get two similar types of gameplay to look through. But like I said, there's this one's really the surprising one, really, that the 270X did cope so very well with it all. all this is really, we generally don't do these kind of like follow-on or side-by-side gaming parts. It's just to try and give you guys a visual representation of the performance, really. Right, so moving on, same section again, but with a GTX 770, min 29, maximum 62, average of 41.9. Don't forget, we are running these settings with the game completely maxed out. We can't turn anything extra on or up or anything like that, and with a resolution of 2560 by 1440. So then, moving swiftly on to the 280X, minimum of 32, so we've gone up a little bit from the 770, maximum of 63, an average of 46.9, so the average there is a good 5 frames per second above the 770. Moving on again, we go up to the 780. Now the minimum goes up to 34, the maximum goes up to 76, and the average does go up to 52.6, but obviously the 780 is an expensive card compared to the 280X, but the 780 does come in the middle of our graph for performance on this game, but it's not the middle of our graph for price. We are running the same section again and again and again, but these sections are the sections filmed from with that card. So like I said, it's just another way of us trying to give you a visual representation to try and differentiate the performance between the cards. Moving on to the 290, minimum of 36, maximum of 81 and an average of 55.5. This does actually come in cheaper than the 780 as well. So in Battlefield for bang for buck stakes, the 290 is actually better value than the 780, even though we're running it all maxed out and everything. Another thing, just to please the fanboys, is this is obviously without mantle, but we don't know whether we're going to get any, massive performance boosts or anything yet with mantle. But another thing to kind of consider, at least at this moment in time, is people are still reporting crashing problems and bugs of Battlefield with AMD graphics cards. I must say I didn't have any issues whatsoever with mine throughout these tests, no matter what game we were running or which one of the AMD graphics cards we were running either. Moving on to the 290X, the minimum goes up 2 frames a second, the maximum goes up 2 frames a second, and the average goes up a single frame a second. Not really what I would call value for money when you consider that that thing costs over £100 more than the 290. So really, with the 290 versus the 290X, the 290 is definitely better value for money. Last but not least, the GTX 780 Ti, minimum of 40, maximum of 94, average of 61.3. So it's the top of our graph, but it's also going to be the graphics card that empties our wallet the most as well, because it's even the reference kind of models are still singing around the tune of around £540. And the non-reference models that are coming through, I'm hearing are going to be over the £600 mark. So, you know, massively expensive cards. The performance, it's up to you whether it backs it up. In Battlefield, there's, you know, not a massive amount between the top three, really. Even the top four, I suppose an average 10 frames a second difference is massive. But the difference between the 290 and the 780 Ti for Battlefield, you know, isn't that great. But one of the things is we don't just play one game, do we, peeps? And when you do play other games, that 780 Ti certainly does come into its own. Right then, peeps. So, moving on to the second half of the game, and obviously all the results are the same, and it's going to run in all the same order. Yes, that's my phone going off. I should probably re-record. But yeah, all the results are the same because we recorded it over the duration of the two. But these are just the two sections that we wanted to show you. I'm not going to talk through all the differences and everything again. I'm going to keep quiet and let you enjoy the explosions and gunshots as we go through the cards.
Now we get the fuck off this piece of junk.
About fucking time. Back to the battle.
I hear voices.
What's the fastest way out? Push straight ahead!
No way, Pack. Irish, this shit ain't happening. It's coming back, Irish. What the fuck we gonna do? Hold on, man!
Found it, Wrecker? Now we get the fuck off this piece of junk.
About fucking time. Back to the mountain.
I hear voices.
Coming back, Irish. What we gonna do? Hold on, man!
On your signal, Wreck.
What we gonna do? Hold on, man!
What's the fastest way out? Push straight ahead. Out of our way, bitches! Yeah, why don't you free, asshole? Take cover! Move! Get out of here! Run!
Christ! Irish? No way back. Irish, this shit ain't happening. It's coming back, Irish. What the fuck we gonna do? Hold on, man!
We got contact! What's the fastest way out? Push straight ahead. Yeah, why don't you free, asshole? Take Move! Get out of here! Run!
Christ! Irish? No way back, Irish. This shit ain't happening. It's coming back, Irish. What we gonna do? Hold on, man!
Did you watch all of that, or did you skip bits? I wonder. I think the majority of you skip bits. Anyway, what I'm going to do quickly is I'm just going to lay these cards down, because that 280X has got a tendency of falling over. It doesn't balance very well. So I'm just going to lay these down quickly. I can sit here and do rather well. Anyway, so awards, because that's what we always do with these things. So awards first. I can pretty much stand the cards up that get awards. So we've got the 780 Ti got an award, the 290 got an award, and the 270X got an award. Now, the 780 Ti, top of the graphs, rates it, but mega expensive, so we gave it Performance Award. The 270X was actually the surprising one of the group. Because this still was very playable in the game. Yes, it did take those dips to like 21 frames per second. To be fair, considering we maxed the game out, you could actually get those frames back up to about 35 and maybe knocking the AA down a little bit and still be able to play it at 2560 by 1440. So considering this card knocks out around the £150, £160 mark, it's worth noting that that's why we gave it the value for money award, because for that game specifically, this performed immensely well. This actually really surprised us, and this probably proves to you that the game is fairly well optimized already. It's really not a stupendously stressful game for a graphics card, which there are two trains of thought for that. The two trains of thought are, it makes it really a brilliant game for people on a low budget, and you can still enjoy all the eye candy over the, the boring kind of low res, doesn't look anywhere near as nice console bollocks. Because I'm really not a console fanboy. I know there's loads of people now going to be chucking their tea at the screen and stuff like that, but we all know, us dedicated PC people know that PCs have got it. Now, like I said, I'm of two minds. It's great that it's a game that people that haven't really, got a humongous amount of money can get all that eye candy from. But at the same time, with games like this, if they were stupidly, I'm not going to say unoptimized, but stressful on a system like the original Crysis was, that's when graphics cards get rushed along a lot quicker. The original Crysis was the reason why Nvidia started making dual-core graphics cards in the first place. But this did really, really well, surprisingly well. This, I couldn't believe how well, for a BF4 machine, this is bloody brilliant, especially for the money. But the surprising one was the 290. And notice I'm not saying the 290X, I'm saying the 290. Because in BF4, which, let's face it, this is the sole topic of us today, this was like a frame behind. So considering the price difference, in Battlefield 4 alone, this pretty much makes the 290X redundant, a waste of time, completely takes it off the table. It's like, if you're building a machine for Battlefield 4, the 290X is, the nicest way I can put it, is completely and utterly pointless. Because you just wouldn't spend that extra money. Now, one thing that a lot of people are saying about these things is obviously the heat and the noise and stuff like that, because to be fair, the architecture underneath is still the same as the 7970. It's just like it's on, been beefed right up. But the cooler technology is exactly the same as the 7970, which is why it's not that great. Now, you have got the quiet mode, but it will run at 95 degrees and it won't boost very high. And if you put it in Uber mode, you can expect for it to boost pretty high, get pretty hot, and get pretty noisy. Now, a lot of people have been saying about water blocks and third-party coolers and stuff, and we've not had the pleasure of the third-party coolers coming through yet, but they are on their way. At this present moment in time, and today's the 13th of December, we do know they're on their way. There's a lot of rumours coming around from Gigabyte and MSI at the minute. They've put their pictures live. I've recently spoken to Asus, and I know their 290Xs and 290s are due as well with the DCU2 coolers. Something I did do with both of these cards, and I keep knocking that DisplayPort thingy out. It's something I did notice with both of the cards that I received. I don't know whether I just completely lost the Silicon Lottery. But they weren't really cards that I would have wanted to have overclocked. I did smash the fans up to 100%, had my ears bleeding and stuff. And I still didn't manage to get enough out of them that would make me want to run all the tests again. And I don't just mean in Battlefield, I mean when I run this card specifically. if you were to overclock what you could out of this card, and then play it in Battlefield again, you'd be lucky to get a frame or two's difference on your minimum. So it really wasn't particularly worth it. But like I said, Silicon Lottery, you need to remember that it's this card in my hand, and I'm not talking about the entire range, because you may get some awesome overclocking ones out there, and I've just been really unlucky. So yeah, I would say that for this game, I mean, the 780 Ti is an amazing card. I'm just going to lay it down. It is an amazing card. It does pump out some bonkers frames per second. The benchmarks are brilliant as well, and it does remain quiet throughout. But it's got an eye-watering price. They're still around the £550 mark. There's newer versions of this coming with overclocks and custom coolers and the likes. And the two that I know of and, well, actually have, they're all above the £600 mark. These you can find around the 350 quid mark, which really this is the performance card to have if you really want to just play BF4. Because let's face it, even with that massive resolution, a single one of these absolutely chuffing decimates it. The only time it really gets complicated is, like I said, if you're maybe looking to have them for a while, you're an Nvidia boy, or with this at least, you want something cool and quiet, you may end up having to pay a little bit more money and going over to the Nvidias. One thing I will say as well though is it's something that quite a lot of people weren't prepared for, or at least they weren't prepared for me to say, was the 290 pretty much does put the 280 to bed as well. The 780 to bed, sorry. But like I said, if you are a silence freak and you're willing to kind of sacrifice some of those frames per second a little bit, the 780 would be the next best, cheapest, cheaper priced option for you before you get up to silly money of the 780. But for me, the star of this, believe it or not, is the 270X. I know in the video it did say 270, that was my own fault. By the time I'd rendered it all, I couldn't be bothered to change it. But it was the 270X, and it was obviously the reference one. I think if you were to be running this at 1920 by 1080, which the majority of you will be, even with all the bells and whistles turned up, this thing is going to look the gonads and pump out some brilliant frames per second. So for those of you on a budget that aren't, wanting to spend your kids' Christmas money buying a graphics card, or your rent money, or your university loan money, and rinsing it all on a rig, this is a wicked little card for this specific game. But the one thing I can't stress enough is that we are talking about Battlefield 4. There are a lot more intensive games out there that this will start to struggle with, and you'll need to start stepping up this range. So do think about your purchases wisely, boys and girls. Something I will say just at the end, just to clarify, and that is, yes, we did use an expensive CPU, an expensive motherboard, and RAM, and all that kind of fandango. But each one of these cards won't perform that differently, for argument's sake, if you were running a 4670K in a Haswell rig. Something that we've started to notice more and more recently is all these fears about bottlenecks and all that kind of stuff. I hate that word anyway. It's not really fully founded. Sometimes games do use the CPU more, so you may get a few extra frames per second, but that's not a bottleneck if you run a cheaper CPU. It's just the game can't use the CPU as much. So it's not the graphics card being bottlenecked by the CPU, it's just some games do utilise that CPU more. And there is a difference between, a bottleneck and actually the CPU getting used more, rather than, it's a complicated subject anyway, and I really don't want to try and confuse those of you out there that don't know what I'm on about. So yes, interesting little roundup today. Hope you enjoyed it. I need to be quiet now, and we will be back with another review for you very shortly. Keep pressing that menu button.